Right, hello guys, and welcome to today's video. And today we're going to be discussing, has Microsoft improved Call of Duty? Yes, I feel it's the time that we need to ask the question, has Microsoft, ever since buying Activision and officially owning Call of Duty since 2023, actually done anything for Call of Duty? Has it improved the Call of Duty cycle? Has it done good things for Call of Duty in general? Or has Microsoft acquisition been a bad thing for Call of Duty? I want to discuss that today. But you guys let me know in the comments. Do you think Microsoft has improved Call of Duty? Or do you think it's been a detriment to Call of Duty? Let me know down below. I'm interested to see the responses on this. Because I don't think this is something that's discussed enough. You know, we talk about the games have been good, the games have been bad. Like this year's game, Black Ops 6, has been a bit of a disaster, a bit of a train wreck. Obviously, people are getting a little bit hyped for Black Ops 7, but not overly hyped because of this year's game. And I think that we can, discuss, has Microsoft sort of been the reason for that? We'll discuss that today. But I want to start with the good, right? We'll start with a positive note on Microsoft owning Call of Duty. And the first thing I can start with, which is the big one, and one that we were all expecting when Microsoft did acquire Call of Duty, was Call of Duty on Game Pass. And it's safe to say that obviously Call of Duty has now appeared on Game Pass, and it's a great thing for that. We can now expect every single year, at least I believe it's the case, but it looks like it's going to be the case going forward. Every single year on release, Call of Duty will be on Game Pass. So Black Ops 7 will be on Game Pass. Whatever's after Black Ops 7 will be on Game Pass on day one. And I think this is a great thing. It allows people to experience Call of Duty on their subscription already. So if you already had Game Pass, whether you pay £15 a month or whether you do sort of like I have a trick where I can get it a little bit cheaper and have Game Pass, for the next 3 years, etc. I'm allowed to play Call of Duty at launch without having to pay the £60, £70 price tag for the full game every single year, which I think is a great thing. And again, if you're one of the people who hasn't got Game Pass, at least every year now, if you are skeptical whether that Call of Duty will be good or not, you can pay £15 for the month subscription of COD on Game Pass. Of Game Pass, and allow yourself to play that Call of Duty on Game Pass for a month, give yourself that trial and see if you like it or not, and then decide whether you continue your Game Pass subscription or whether you'd buy the game outright because you like it. I think that's great. It means you're not stuck, really, right? How many years have you sat there, bought the digital version of Call of Duty? Because most people buy digitally now, it looks like. You buy the £60, £70 version of Call of Duty and you don't like the game, and that's it. You're stuck with the game. You might be able to get lucky and get a refund on it, but more often than not, you're going to be stuck with a £60, £70 game that you can't sell, you can't do anything with, and you don't enjoy. And that's one thing that has sucked with Call of Duty over the years, because it does happen, right? There have been good games, there have been bad games. It's all personal preference, of course. And I feel like Game Pass has added an element to Call of Duty that's been fantastic to see, that we can actually go and play these games and not really be tied down to, owning that Call of Duty, right? We can still choose where we want to play it. And obviously, there are 100+ other games that you can play through the Game Pass store and PC Pass. Let's not forget the PC community, but we'll talk about that more later in the bad section, okay? Because obviously, there's going to be a pretty obvious one with that. But yeah, Call of Duty on Game Pass, both new and old. We'll talk about the old, because yes, we have started to see old Call of Duty games appearing on the Game Pass. Now, we obviously saw last year's MW3 and MW2 appear on there, which I think is great. Keeps those games alive, keeps the player bases alive in those games. Obviously, not every Call of Duty is going to feel the benefit of this. Some CODs are just not going to be like that. I feel like MW2 is one of those games that didn't really get as much hype from being on the Game Pass, and that's fair enough. Not every Call of Duty is going to get that sort of love. But MW3 seems to have a player base that is constantly there. People are still playing MW3. And not only that, we had the recent addition of Call of Duty World War II, which we're going to talk about in the good and the bad here. So the good is, of course, it is on Game Pass, right? It allows people to go back and play that Call of Duty. And did it revive the player base for Call of Duty World War II? Absolutely did. And it's not even one of the top tier games, right? Most people are looking out for Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, the original MW2, original MW3, etc. Be interesting to see how those go down. Obviously, we haven't seen a 360 Call of Duty end up on the Game Pass yet. But to start off Call of Duty World War II, so far, has been pretty good if you're an Xbox player, okay? We'll talk about PC in a second. But if you're on Xbox, you will have noticed a improved player base. The game's thriving. You can go back and play that game. It is safe to play on Xbox. And overall, has been a good experience for Call of Duty World War II on Xbox. But this is where we'll move into the bad section. The bad section of this being, they haven't done anything to make sure these old COD games are safe and are able to be played, especially on PC. So far, we haven't seen on 360 Call of Duty anything to do with like safety and fixes there. If you go to a 360 version of a Call of Duty, it is hacked, it's filled with cheaters, it's got issues. They haven't done anything to tell Activision that, hey, you need to go back and fix these games before we put them on Game Pass. And this was very evident with Call of Duty World War II. Call of Duty World War II obviously released on PC Game Pass, and if you guys haven't seen, on the PC Pass, you cannot access Call of Duty World War II. You cannot play it, it's completely offline. And it sucks for anyone who bought the PC Pass subscription to go play it. Anyone who already had the subscription and wanted to play it cannot do so because of an exploit that that was on there, and they have not fixed at this moment in time. And that was a big issue for me. Like, that was a big one, because Microsoft are just as much to blame as Activision. Obviously, Activision are the ones that update the games, make sure these games are safe, but Microsoft should be overseeing this if they are putting things like that on their subscription service. And unfortunately, people will have experienced having their PCs taken over, you know, hacked, etc., having people put notepads on the screen, and just feeling unsafe playing an older Call of Duty game. And again, this isn't even one of the ones that's notorious for it, right? Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, MW2, MW3, all the older 360 games are notorious for hacks and issues, but Call of Duty World War II was released unsafe onto the PC and was a huge L. And so far, we haven't seen anything from Microsoft to show that they're going to improve this in the future. All they've done so far is take it offline, and they haven't explained what the issues are or that. We've just had to know from other sources. They didn't even say sorry. Big L in my opinion, but you guys let me know down below what you think about that. But also, let's talk about the new games as well. Has the newer Call of Duty games been better since Microsoft owned them? Obviously, they don't control how the process is done with Call of Duty, how they're developed, etc. But you'd think Microsoft would kind of take that little bit care of making sure that this year's Call of Duty game is fit for purpose, is ready to be released, and is gonna be the big hitter on their Game Pass, is gonna be a big thing to promote and be a great thing to promote. For instance, Black Ops 6 this year has not been a great quality game. As a AAA title, it has not been a quality game. I wouldn't say it's been up to purpose. I wouldn't say it's been up to the quality. It's been a very poor game. And again, Microsoft has to take some shame in that, because they should be sitting there overseeing this. They own Activision. They should be looking down on what Activision does and saying, hey, this game's not ready. You know, this game should be developed a little bit better. You know, is this going to be ready for launch properly? And also, we're not able to sit there and say confidently as well that Microsoft has been good with keeping the player base there for Call of Duty. We all thought that with newer Call of Duties being on the Game Pass, that the player base will always be there. So as much as the old COD games will get revived from the Game Pass and the PC Pass, etc., which we have seen already, it's not so much to say with the new games. For instance, Black Ops 6 this year, the player base has fell off a cliff because of how poor the game has been. Nobody has enjoyed, well, I say nobody, some people have, but not really many players have enjoyed Black Ops 6. But you'd still think the player base would be there, because now more people have access to Call of Duty because of the Game Pass, people who probably have never played Call of Duty. But it has not kept the player base alive. Yes, there's still a player base for Black Ops 6. It's not like it's absolutely below 10k, etc. It's not in the trenches sort of thing. But the player base is far less than the standard we've had with Call of Duties over the years, you know, such as last year, MW3, MW2, both games that didn't release on the Game Pass initially. They only released this year sort of thing for people to go back and play. They didn't release on those Game Pass instantly. And it's one of those, really. It shows that, is Game Pass all that for Call of Duty? Is it really going to help, you know, improve the playbase and have more people playing Call of Duty in the future? It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. If a game's bad, it doesn't matter whether it's on the Game Pass or not. If the games come out with bad quality and aren't up to standard and people don't enjoy them, people aren't going to play them, and it's not going to have an improved player base or a greater player base, even if they are on the Game Pass. But my overall opinion, I feel like Microsoft hasn't really put its foothold on Call of Duty, really done enough. I feel like there should be more done from Microsoft to put its little stamp on Call of Duty and kind of make Call of Duty better and greater. Yes, Activision controls most of it, but I do think Microsoft should be doing more. There are some great things they're doing, like I said, with the old games and stuff, but more so with the new era, I think they could be doing a lot more and making Call of Duty a lot better. But you guys let me know down below what you think about Microsoft and Call of Duty. Do you think they've been a good addition for Call of Duty? Do you think them owning it has been a good idea? Let me know down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, next time. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.